Savinho breaks silence as Manchester City U-turn completed have to be happy. Manchester City latest as Savinho signs new contract just weeks after attracting interest from Tottenham. Savinho has signed a new contract at Manchester City just a matter of weeks after being targeted by Tottenham. The Brazilian has put pen to paper on a 6-year deal at the Etihad with the option of an extra 12 months. It completes a turnaround for the 21-year-old who attracted interest from Spurs in the summer window and was open to moving to the capital. City did not want to lose the winger, but Pep Guardiola is always prepared to allow players who want to leave the opportunity to go. In the end, City closed the door on an exit, and Savinho has now penned fresh terms with the Blues that tie him to the club until at least 2031. First of all, I want to thank God for this new opportunity to sign another contract with Manchester City, Savinho said. I'm really happy and my family is also very happy. I feel fulfilled. My dream since I was little was always to play for Manchester City, and I managed to achieve that. And now, extending my contract here makes it even more special. I feel really proud and I hope to continue and be very happy here at Manchester City. My playing style is very joyful. I think today you have to be happy to play football. You have to inspire the fans to come and watch the matches at the stadium and leave satisfied. My game is about attacking, going at the opponent, and I think I have to improve a lot in finishing and score more goals, and I will achieve that. I think City's style of play helps me a lot too, always with the ball, and City has great players I play alongside here, which has always been my dream. I think I'm living my dream now. Savinho missed the opening weeks of the campaign through injury, but is now fit again and started the Premier League win over Burnley last weekend. Sporting director Hugo Viana described the winger as having limitless potential as he looks to work his way into Guardiola's team. He has so many excellent attributes. His potential really is limitless. He has superb natural ability, works incredibly hard day in, day out, and he is humble, he said. He is very eager to keep learning and help the team, and his ambition is to be one of the best attacking players in the game. I have no doubt that by continuing to work with Pep and his coaching team, Savinho will go on to be a key part of our squad for many years to come. Manchester City summer signing is under pressure after £16 million development. Manchester City defender Rayan had a positive debut for the club, but will return from injury to a different landscape. James Trafford might not be the only summer signing at Manchester City wondering what he walked into. Trafford arrived with hopes of swiftly establishing himself as number one to aid his push for a World Cup spot in 2026. Even if it took more time to establish himself for club and country, the path was clear. Except now he has the best goalkeeper in the world standing in his way, and more importantly, the net for every Premier League and Champions League game. Gianluigi Donnarumma arrived at the Etihad on deadline day, after an interest that has lingered for 8 years, and Trafford's best hope of forcing his way into the England team is to leave City. Rayan could also be forgiven for thinking he had his position sewn up at City. As the first specialist left-back signed since 2019, he was ushered through the door by jubilant fans and impressed on debut at former club Wolves. Then injury struck, and in his absence, Nico O'Reilly has arguably made the position his own. O'Reilly is a number 10 by trade, but that may soon become past tense with every game he shines in at left-back. One of the catalysts for City's recovery in the final months of last season has now been central to getting over their mini-crisis at the beginning of this one. It is no coincidence that O'Reilly has started every game since the derby, his first start of the season, and the Blues are unbeaten in all competitions and showing positive signs. A pinpoint assist at Monaco was accompanied by a storming performance, while at the Emirates, he kept both Noni Madueke and Bukayo Saka quiet, despite being heavily targeted by Arsenal. Those are international wingers, and O'Reilly also has England ambitions. Speaking after signing a new 5-year deal at City last week, the 22-year-old insisted he is determined to not just be a squad player and wants to push for the World Cup at the end of the year. On the evidence of the last month, Thomas Tuchel would be wise to consider him, just as Pep Guardiola will struggle to get Ait-Nouri back into his team. There will be enough games to go round for both over the course of the campaign, but it would be extremely harsh to drop O'Reilly if Ait-Nouri is fit for the game with Everton later this month. City have paid up to £36.3 million for Ait-Nouri, Yet what price can be put on O'Reilly? Back in May, he was valued at around £16 million by Transfermarkt, so add in a bumper new contract and his recent form, and you can at least triple that number. For all that signings always get the attention in summer, the academy player is looking like a superstar in a team full of the best in the world, and doing it out of position. The longer it goes on like this, the more Guardiola will feel left back is the perfect position for him in the team. If Ait Nouri wants to be number one in his position, he has to rise to the challenge. And while that may be easier than what looms for Trafford, O'Reilly is getting more valuable to Guardiola with every game that he plays. Manchester City cannot ignore Bernardo Silva's record in grandad frustration. Bernardo Silva came in for criticism for his attacking contribution on Wednesday, but Manchester City's record when he plays is excellent. Pep Guardiola referred to Bernardo Silva as a grandad last week, and more Manchester City fans are increasingly viewing the captain as a crutch holding up their attacking play. Silva was stationed out on the right wing again for the 2-2 draw with Monaco, and it feels notable this season that attacks down that side just do not have the same verve when that is the case. It isn't Silva's fault, but he is probably better off in a more defensive role if he is to be used, and in matches where City don't finish their chances, such as Wednesday night, the scrutiny on what Silva offers in the final third increases. Not everything is as it seems though. Silva may have obvious limitations in that role, but the team have had serious problems without him this season. When Silva has been on the pitch, the Blues have an aggregate score of 12-2. That includes the recent run against United, Napoli and Arsenal, but he also avoided the collapses against Tottenham and Brighton. Spurs felt particularly telling. After a 4-0 win over Wolves on the opening weekend, Rayan Cherki was rewarded with a start instead of Silva, but the balance was off and the Blues were 2-0 down by the time Guardiola summoned his skipper. You could argue that the tie had already turned a week later at Brighton for another of the worst team performances, but they had actually played well in the first hour, and it was 1-1 when Silva went off. Without Silva, City's record in the Premier League and Champions League is 4 goals scored and 4 goals conceded. A case could be made that a better attacking player in Silva's role would have done better, yet Cherki and Omar Marmoush have been injured, and Savinho and Oscar Bob haven't really taken their chances when given the opportunity. Silva could also be pushed inside, but then Tijani Reinders and Phil Foden are much better in the middle, and nobody has been knocking on the door to challenge for their place in the team either. Silva doesn't have Jeremy Doku's stepovers or Foden's pace to unlock defences, and it will always feel like he is, to use a word that has followed Arsenal around recently, a handbrake in the team or a safety mechanism for Guardiola to ensure protection for the control and possession that he wants. But is that a bad thing? The manager does not want to turn City into a team built solely for the counter-attack, and Silva is one of the best players for recycling balls and controlling tempo. Then there's the leadership he brings. Is it a coincidence that the team have never gone behind with Silva on the pitch this season when he sets the standard with his commitment and captaincy? Possibly. And it is hard to give Silva all the credit for their significantly better record with him than without him, given the way goal machine Erling Haaland has started the season. He probably deserves more than he is currently getting though, because it is hard to argue against Silva's contributions, enabling the team to be better. That is an underrated value, and especially when there are no teammates making a compelling case at the moment that they can make a better job. Silva will never be an exciting right winger, but he is currently helping to provide the stability that brings wins. Manchester City given Rodri reassurance but 4 players to miss Brentford, despite training boost Manchester City injury latest, as Pep Guardiola provides an update on Rodri following the 2-2 Champions League draw with Monaco. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola confirmed Rodri was replaced against Monaco in the Champions League to manage his minutes rather than a fresh injury. The 29-year-old sat out the weekend Premier League win over Burnley with pain in his knee, having missed most of last season with a serious knee injury. He returned to the side in France, but was replaced on the hour by Nico Gonzalez. But Guardiola, who said in the build-up to the European tie that he doubted Rodri could play 3 games in a week, said there were no issues with the midfielder ahead of this weekend's Premier League trip to Brentford. Here's the latest City injury news. The Spaniard played against Monaco, completing 60 minutes. Guardiola warned that the 29-year-old is not currently fit to play enough to play 3 games in a week, having felt pain in his knee after doing just that earlier this month. But speaking after the game, the City chief was positive on his star man. The Uzbekistan international had made the right-back spot his own in the past few weeks, with 3 successive starts in that position. But he was forced off injured at half-time in the draw with Arsenal and is unlikely to return before the international break. Marmoush suffered an injury in the 4th minute of Egypt's goalless draw with Burkina Faso in September. He tried to carry on, but was withdrawn 5 minutes later. He returned to Cairo on crutches and underwent a scan in Egypt to assess the extent of the damage. City have since confirmed the 26-year-old will be out for a few weeks, and while they were hopeful he could return prior to the international break, it is understood he is targeting the Everton game when the Premier League returns from a 2-week hiatus. The France international returned to training with City on Tuesday, but is not yet ready to return and did not travel for the Monaco match. He will not be risked for the weekend trip to Brentford either. The view within City remains that the clash with the Toffees 2 weeks later is his more likely return date. Ait-Nouri suffered an ankle injury in the early stages of his home debut against Tottenham. The £31 million summer signing from Wolves played against Brighton,